Adam Spagnolo. I'm a candidate for the City of Stirling Council election coming up in October of this year, and I'd really appreciate your support. With me today, a special guest in the studio, I have Mr. Jack Garber. Jack is also a candidate, City of Stirling Council election in the Hammersley ward. Is that correct, Jack?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yep. And we're here discussing a number of things. We've just finished talking about the Barchi chocolate affair, and honestly, I just can't believe it. Are we talking $50,000 or $60,000 of ratepayers' money being spent just because someone had an issue with a councillor, or because somebody had some sort of witch hunt? Is that what we're talking about?
That's what we're talking about. And let me also give you some other numbers that from my review of the last 10 years. Yeah. There's been $14 million spent.
14 million.
14 million over 10 years on outside legal consultants.
Wow.
That's ratepayers' dollars.
It is.
That's not councillors' dollars to spend.
Yeah. Well, look, I don't know whether things changed. I've been away from council for a while, and this is one of the main reasons why I'm wanting to get back on. But I can tell you that a few years ago, if I said something like that to my ratepayers, that look, I'm sorry, we've just had to spend $50,000 or $60,000 of your money because one of the councillors wanted some chocolates and they couldn't have them, or they didn't follow protocol. I hope you didn't mind. I'd get thrown out. You know, yeah. I mean, I think anybody would really.
Well, look, and this is a case gone wrong. Clearly, this Barchi chocolate case is a case gone wrong, and I'm just thankful that we have members of the State Administrative Tribunal who can see through the political the political motivation. And when testimony was given by the head of the governance for the City of Stirling, the tribunal officer and tribunal member hearing the matter refused to accept her testimony in several cases. And in other cases, it's fairly clear that the case and the development of witness statements in that case contained fabrications.
Wow. Well, that's very interesting. Like I said, I was hoping that we could talk about WorkSafe, but I think it's related as well, isn't
Absolutely
it? Because that's
related.
how it all started.
Yeah. Well, that allegedly, this Barchi chocolate affair.
Good ad for Barchi, by the way. Yeah, right. Never know, they might send us a box of chocolates for free.
Looking forward to that.
Oh, yes.
And the matter, the member, SAT member, actually made a finding that it was Bernadette Tucker who escalated the quote-unquote alleged altercation between the council member and a city employee, to which the council member was charged under a Local Government Act. So it's a huge vindication for that council member. Now, when going back to our discussion earlier, when I attempted to ask the mayor a question of why they're not apologizing to the councillor after this decision by the SAT.
You were probably ruled out of order.
I was ruled out of order, absolutely.
Oh, that was a good guess.
Yeah, good guess.
Yeah, by the way, for those of you that haven't heard, Jack probably holds the record at the City of Stirling. He asks a lot of questions, and that's what good residents and ratepayers do, because it's your money that's being spent there, and you have every right to know what's going on with it. Jack actually holds the record as being ruled out of order, probably more than any other person Clearly. In the history of the City of Stirling.
Yeah, and again, Adam, I'm not trying to interfere or be a person, a thorn in the side.
No,
However,
you just want answers.
All I care about is, and I've spent the last 14 or 15 years of my life working in public education as a volunteer.
Yes.
I'm chairperson of 2 independent public schools in the community. I've served as a state counselor for the Organization of State Schools, WACSO, which oversees all the P&Cs in WA, all as a volunteer. I got my interest in Stirling Council and the affairs of Stirling Council resulted from a school issue at Doubleview Primary.
Okay.
And so that's why I started attending these council meetings. My interest is that we remain open and transparent.
Yes.
There's big talk by the mayor, and he'll tell you that he's running an open and transparent.
It doesn't appear to be that way, does it?
No, and that's exactly why I've been rolled out of order when I've asked legitimate questions.
Look, I've had the pleasure and the privilege of chairing those sort of meetings. I've been mayor for 3 terms in my past history with the City of Stirling. I spent 20 years as a councillor there. And look, when I used to chair those council meetings as the mayor of the city, look, from time to time, you do get some difficult questions, but you deal with them. You don't hide under the position and say, well, look, I'm the mayor, I'm going to rule you out of order. You don't do that, because I think that makes ratepayers angrier, and it makes them more determined to find out what the truth really is. Or ask the question, what are they hiding?
Yeah, look, if it's a detailed question, I certainly would accept.
Take it on notice.
That they'll take it on notice, and they'll get back. And when it involves a specific amount of detail, I wouldn't expect any officer or any of the officials, including the mayor, to be able to answer every single question off the top of their head.
Well, look, I understand that the mayor recently made a statement indicating that all this drama about people being thrown out, well, not so much about people being thrown out, but people not being listened to or being gagged or being switched off or whatever, is not quite true, because there's a situation here where there are other people that want to listen. The same question's been asked time and time again, and it's unfair to those people, which I agree with, if that's what's really happening. But if a question's being asked, and as I've said before, it doesn't necessarily appear to be a matter that's relative to the City of Stirling, that's all you have to say.
Yes.
You don't have to say, oh, ruled out of order, because that's not the way you deal with the matter, Mr Mayor, with all due respect.
Well, yeah, and look, when we talk about the WorkSafe issue, that we're talking about issues of bullying. And my biggest concern is that we have an environment that is wholly unfriendly to begin with. It is not a friendly place to do business. No. It is even making a phone call to the council for an inquiry becomes an ordeal. So and my point is that this is coming from the top down.
They might rule you out of order now when you ring them, so you got to be careful.
I understand that. Yeah, but this is an issue that's coming from the top down. Yeah. I'm concerned about the fact that we have officers, delegated authorities, who are entering the political arena in Stirling and trying to influence who the members are on council.
Yeah. And that's just not on. I think it's got to be done properly, it's got to be done fairly, and it appears as though it's not quite happening that way. Look, I just want to say, Jack, before we go to a break, that, people need to remember, and especially elected members need to remember, that councils are like a board of directors. Ratepayers are the shareholders. Ratepayers, like any shareholder, has the right to ask questions and get answers. So if you're an elected member, which both Jack and I hope to be in the very near future, that is the sort of thing that I'll be promoting. I consider the ratepayers to be the shareholders. I consider the ratepayers are people that need to be listened to. What we're doing here today is not a witch hunt. We're not actually picking on the mayor, picking on the City of Stirling. We're not doing any of that stuff. We're just trying to be constructive. We're trying to say, hey, listen, there's a problem out there. You guys need to take a little bit of constructive criticism and understand that we're just ordinary human beings. If we have something that's bothering us and it's a council matter, well then we go to our local council, we either ring them, and we expect to be treated with the utmost dignity and the utmost respect. And that's not happening all the time. If we come to a council meeting and we want to ask a question, well then we expect the same treatment. And if that's not forthcoming, well then you need to review some of your procedures and processes. We'll be back very shortly in any case, this time to talk about WorkSafe in a bit more detail.